Now, the UK government has announced it's suspending 30 of its 350 licenses to export arms to Israel. From 2022 to June last year, the UK sent nearly $75 million worth of weapons to Israel. Roughly $25 million was for aircraft, including helicopters and drones. And the licenses being suspended include components for unmanned drones and F-16 fighter jets. Sales of naval systems and targeting equipment have also been halted. But the UK Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, says this is not a blanket ban and only affects weapons that could be used in serious breach of international humanitarian law. We have with us Luciano Zakara, who's joining us here in the studio, who's an associate professor of Gulf politics at Qatar University. Welcome back to Al Jazeera. So I've been digging into this, and it looks like this is only 10% of the UK's arms exports to Israel that have now been suspended. And particularly what's most important is that the F-35 jet components from the UK, which is crucial for Israel, which is being used in the war in Gaza, is not being suspended. So is this move by the UK anything more than symbolic at this point?
It is a little bit more than symbolic, but not as it doesn't have practical effects in the continuation of the war. But it's a signal that the UK is really concerned about how the arms are used to violate the international law, and can give ideas to other countries that they are the main suppliers of Israel, which is United States and Germany. Of course, the amount of money, $75 million in 3 years, is not a significant amount. So Israel will not be affected in terms of the continuation of the war in Gaza because of that. But it's targeting something that has to do with the war in Gaza, or how some aspects of the war are conducted in Gaza, and also in confrontation with
Do you think that other countries are going to follow suit at this point? And look, let's speak about the U.S. in particular, because you mentioned the U.S. Why is Biden not using that arms leverage on Israel at this point? I mean, my guest a moment ago was saying that the U.S. is running out of patience with Israel, but the U.S. does have that leverage. And according to an Israeli official, an Air Force official who was speaking to the Haaretz newspaper, he said without U.S. aid, Israel couldn't fight Gaza beyond a few months.
Exactly. We know this since the very beginning of the war. Every time that Biden warned Netanyahu, we don't want 30,000 more people killed, we don't want you to enter into Rafah, we don't want you, etc., etc. And he used, to some extent, this pressure that delayed 1 week the delivery of guns, but nothing happened. So everything has been a bluff from the Biden side. And so far, I mean, he was before worried about the campaign, the political electoral campaign. Now he's not worried anymore. He wants to finish his term with something that is not a continuation of the war, but he doesn't have the elements to do so. He doesn't have the will to pressure Netanyahu using the only arm that he has, and this is the most powerful arm, which is stop the delivery of arms. So far, if he didn't do it in 11 months, we cannot expect him to do it before the end of his term. So I don't think this will happen anytime soon.
Our understanding is that there are obstacles remaining to any potential ceasefire. But Biden spoke on Monday, and he said that the U.S. is very close to presenting a final proposal that would lead to the release of Israeli captives in Gaza. What does this final proposal look like to you? I mean, is it any different from the one that was endorsed by the U.S. Back in May, then endorsed by a UN Security Council resolution on June the 10th?
As far as Biden cannot get Netanyahu to reduce this expectation about keeping forces in the Philadelphia corridor and troops that they are cutting Gaza in two, I don't think there will be any breakout in the negotiations. So the fact that he said that Netanyahu is not doing enough, or he said simply no, he's not doing enough, means that he could pressure a little bit more on that sense. But then Netanyahu made it very clear that this is not negotiable at all. So what else can be acceptable for Hamas if they keep saying that the military presence will remain there and will prevent or will scan everybody that is moving from the south to the north, as is have been discussed in the last two rounds of conversation. So I don't see how we can see that optimism of Biden nowadays.
Okay, thank you so much for your analysis.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.